All right, welcome back everybody. My name's Austin. This is weird. Microsoft has just filed a patent for a new cryptocurrency and a new mining system. This is breaking news. This directly affects you. Microsoft wants to create and has just filed a patent to create a new cryptocurrency that's still mined using proof of work, which is how Bitcoin is mined with mining rigs now. Still using proof of work, except replacing expensive mining rigs with basic human energy. So replacing the mining rigs with you. Now, if that sounds a little strange to you, let's take a deep dive into their very detailed patent published yesterday, filed by Microsoft. It's called Cryptocurrency System Using Body Activity Data. This is the patent. Cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Now we can go through the description, the claims that they're making, but I want to start by checking out the drawing. They claim this is proof of work, how the coins will be mined into existence, but instead you are that work. So you'll be wearing some sort of sensor, doing some sort of activity. An example given is you could be watching ads on your computer, and that would create energy and mine crypto. Well, actually, first that data would go into the cloud, and then that data would then mine the cryptocurrency. And yes, this is real. It lists the agents, the inventors, the applicants, Microsoft technology licensing. So let's dig deeper. According to the patent, Microsoft Coin would make use of body activity data. This would allow individuals to mine crypto and replace the need for ASICs. This does sound borderline creepy, but if you can get past the idea of wiring humans up to some kind of server, tracking their energy output, it could be a sustainable way of mining crypto without damaging the environment. Quick side note, many people like to disparage Bitcoin for using what they say using too much electricity, but you know it uses more electricity than Bitcoin? The video game industry. The Christmas light industry uses more electricity. So the question then becomes, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is this electricity worth it for what we're getting in return? A decentralized, censorship-resistant money, Bitcoin, that's worth it to me. But anyway, Microsoft is trying to solve that problem by using human energy output. And just to be clear, this patent isn't asking for a bunch of gym goers to run on the treadmill and create Microsoft Coin. It does give an interesting example, though. For example, it could take as little as a brainwave or body heat emitted from a user when the user performs tasks provided by an information or service provider, such as viewing advertisements or using certain internet services, can be used in the mining process. So if you watch ads, you could get a little more Microsoft Coin. And they are calling this proof of work. Data generated on the body activity of the user can be a proof of work, and therefore a user can solve the computationally difficult problem unconsciously. So you won't even have to think about it. Microsoft will be using you. This could be you someday. This could be you. Now, before I share with you a really revealing clip on where this market may be headed next, like the video, if you appreciate being kept up to date with daily news. But just know, at this stage, Microsoft still hasn't stated whether their new crypto will be based on an existing blockchain in particular, or whether Microsoft will create its own framework. It's also not certain whether this new cryptocurrency will actually go ahead. But in case you were thinking about using human brain waves to replace hash power, sorry, Microsoft has the patent. I guess if we can assume anything, this probably will not have a fixed supply, right? As long as you keep watching ads, you can probably mine more and more. Kind of makes you value things that do have a fixed supply and are decentralized. Next piece of news. As the pandemic slams the economy, a record 3.3 million Americans have officially filed for unemployment. That's 3.3 million Americans who are not working. Obviously through no fault of their own, but the U.S. unemployment rate has likely risen to 5.5% already, a level not seen since 2015. Now, obviously, in opposition to this, the Fed is pumping trillions of dollars into the economy. So the question is this economy back on its way up, or with all those millions of people who are not working right now, are we going lower? As a Bitcoin holder, this is information that you think about.
It's not just the pandemic, is it right? The market structure, the debt loads, everything else that was already in place. The pandemic may have just been that chip on the Jenga stack, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, if you want to think of it as a house of cards that was built by the policymakers in order to bail out the financial system during the crisis, one day, a breeze came along and knocked over one of the cards, and it's bringing the whole house down.
House of cards. Very funny. Definitely fits. But the economy is pumping a little higher. What do you think?
Well, the house, listen, Scott, the equity market rose 13% this week. I understand we're still well down on the year. Seems like the Fed is short up the credit markets a little bit, but it sounds like you're not believing that the bottom is in yet.
No, I don't think so. Brian, when we look at some of the data that we're getting with unemployment insurance claims and so on and so forth, it would suggest that we're going to get to a place worse than the financial crisis economically. Unemployment perhaps around 15%. An economic contraction for the year, let's say maybe in the neighborhood of 10%. These are pretty nasty numbers. And when you look at valuations on stocks, the degree of overvaluation where we were at the peak just 6 weeks ago versus the peak in valuation that occurred in '07 has been much more extreme. And the decline we got from the downturn in '07 was a 55% drawdown in stocks. We've been around 34% so far. It just doesn't seem that, given the economic backdrop, that the prices have adjusted to reflect economic reality.
Yeah. But I'll push back a little bit, my friend, because I remember in September of '08 going down to D.C. and having meetings with congressional leaders to explain to them what a credit default swap was. And then months went by before we got really anything done. They were slow. This time, in the course of a week, we got the Fed throwing probably $7 to $10 trillion at it with leverage and a $2 trillion relief bill. Aren't you encouraged at all by the speed, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the speed at which D.C. reacted?
Look, Brian, it's a lot more encouraging than the financial crisis.
Okay. I like that discussion. To me, one of the key takeaways is, in a lot of ways we have seen this before, and in a lot of ways we have never seen something quite like this before. So everybody here is just discussing. They're just guessing. Anybody that tells you that they know what's going to happen, they don't. But next piece of news, and actually this is more just helpful information, because this channel has always been a channel for the people, the people's channel. During hard times and lockdown, quarantine, house arrest, people will look to order food online. Here we can build a list of groceries accepting Bitcoin and can deliver at home. Now, me personally, I'm hodling my Bitcoin and I'm spending my fiat. But obviously there comes a point, you have to spend some time, and here's a list of grocery stores that accept Bitcoin. Also, the list is being added to down here. I'm going to link this down below in the description. Check it out. Just more options to help you. Hey, speaking of helping, the Federal Reserve, as of March 26th, they have just released their statistics. They've just released their balance sheet for the public. And it's official. The Federal Reserve is printing $1 million every second. Outrageous. The U.S.'s Federal Reserve balance sheet has increased by $586 billion to a total amount of $5.25 trillion in the week of March 18th through March 25th. This means that on average, the Fed has been printing roughly almost $1,970,000 every second during that time period in its efforts to keep the market alive amid the pandemic outbreak. So $1 million every second. And to put it another way, in fact, the Fed has been printing the equivalent of Bitcoin's market cap every 35 hours. And quick check-in, the market cap for Bitcoin right now is $114 billion. So every 36 hours, the Fed prints the entire market cap of Bitcoin. Interesting times. Feel free to fact check any of that math. All the data is right there, public for you. Check it out. All right, that is the video. Hope you found value.